Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and welcome to this week's Line of Sight, the Exclusively Games weekly news roundup. I asked for everyone's opinions, and you have responded with a resounding yes that bacon should be continued as a topic of conversation and in some cases contention for at least one more week. First, I've seen a couple of requests to skip the bacon talk on these videos that, while they are in the minority it would seem, I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, so if you are not a fan of these bacon talks, please skip to the time that is on your screen, and I will include a timestamp in the description as well. Also, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to check out our website over at exclusivelygames.com. Link is in the description below. Just so you are all aware, I do tend to make it a habit to read the comments on both my videos here and on my own channel. I've seen the requests for exclusively bacon merchandise, and I will do my best to see if we can make that a thing. If you are interested in something like that, do us all a favor and make sure you pledge your support to the greatest breakfast food in the history of ever down below so we can get a basic idea of what to expect with any sort of exclusively bacon merchandise. Also, don't think I didn't see the attempt to claim that I am excluding lunch from all of this. Now, for those doubters that bacon is the supreme food that makes all other foods better, let me tell you this. While I call bacon the greatest breakfast food in the history of ever, it can also be used in lunchtime endeavors, such as, well, bacon cheeseburgers, chopped bacon on a salad, and bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches are but a few of the many ways that bacon can be incorporated into your lunch routine that will make your taste buds sing with rapture and dance like a dervish. However, please do bear in mind that all good things are only good in moderation. I wouldn't want to be responsible for ruining anyone's health, so while you enjoy this, the most perfect of foods, please make sure you don't overdo it and that you are getting enough exercise. I like my fans, and I'd rather you all stick around as long as possible. That said, let's move on from the bacon talk for now and get to why we're all here. On the list for this week, we have Valve is being sued in the state of Washington over unlawful gambling by the Quinault Indian Nation. News about the PlayStation 5 and some of its hardware has been released. It was discovered that there was a fully functional, privately run City of Heroes server in operation for the past 6 years. And our top story for the week, Ubisoft landed in the news this week for several positive reasons surrounding the disastrous fire that nearly completely destroyed the Notre Dame Cathedral in France. And now that we're all queued up, let's get started. The topic surrounding loot boxes in video games and their comparisons to slot machine-style gambling has been hotly debated across the globe for years. Advocates that they are gambling saw some large victories over the past year as Belgian regulators ruled that they were indeed gambling, as did an Australian government study. Along with that, the American FTC has also begun looking into loot boxes as well, which has placed ever-increasing pressure on game developers and publishers that employ such monetizations. Recently, it was discovered that the Quinault Indian Nation filed a lawsuit against Valve over their video game CSGO and the loot box-driven skin economy and the third-party gambling that has arisen surrounding the game. Now, in that lawsuit, the Quinault Nation assert that Valve began selling skins in 2013 that could be traded for real-world money, that those skins became the primary currency used by unregulated and unlicensed gambling websites, and that Valve profited greatly from these acts. They further assert that Valve facilitated this gambling economy through selling keys for $2.50 each, the only purpose of which was to, quote, allow users to engage in gambling through opening crates to win virtual items that were worth much more than the value of the tokens, or to win virtual items with virtually no value. The look, feel, sound, and experience was basically an online slot machine. They also alluded to the CSGO Lotto scandal and other popular gambling sites of that time by asserting that Valve had knowledge of the identity of accounts used for the purpose of facilitating the gambling websites and took no action against them. And they also assert multiple other actions or failures to act on Valve's part, stating that those actions constitute a violation of Washington state law and violate the Quinault Nation's rights under the gaming compact between the Quinault and Washington state. This is due to their claims that Valve is engaging in unfair competition due to their unlicensed and unregulated gambling. In this 18-page document, there are 4 counts being put forth. The first being violation of the Consumer Protection Act based upon the assertion that Valve is engaged in unlicensed and unregulated gambling within Washington state. The second count, tortious interference with contract, also hinges on Valve's unregulated gambling and it's causing interference with the contract between the Quinault Nation and Washington state. The third count being put forth is negligence over their failure to act or lack of action to prevent skin gambling websites from operating using their platform. And the fourth and final count is for declaratory relief, stating that the Quinault Nation is suffering ongoing harm from Valve's activities. Now, it will be interesting to see what becomes of this lawsuit, as there is one core aspect that must now be decided upon for all of the Quinault Nation's allegations to hold any water. Do loot boxes constitute gambling? Regardless of outcome of the lawsuit itself, it could force into being a legal precedent within the United States as to whether loot boxes are gambling, which will be a legal case that stands a possibility of changing the landscape of video game monetization for the future. Our next story is the recent news surrounding the PlayStation 5 and what sort of hardware it might have under the hood. Several news sites have picked this information up and all seem to be citing the same basic technological inaccuracies, which force us to boil things down to their bare essence, so please do bear with me. The new PlayStation 5 will come equipped with an 8-core AMD Ryzen processor built on the Zen 2 architecture. The graphics processor will be a custom Radeon Navi unit that will support ray tracing, and in addition to those, the AMD processor will also include 3D audio, and perhaps the biggest news for the new console, it will come with an SSD that Sony's Mark Cerny claims is faster than any SSD currently available for PC, which has led to speculation that the PlayStation's new SSD might be running the new PCIe 4 standard. And while you can buy external SSDs for the current generation of consoles, it has been reported that their performance increases only approximately 30%, while this console takes a 15-second load time for Spider-Man and decreases that to 0.8 seconds. So it looks like console gamers can expect notable decreases in game load times with this new generation of consoles. Next up, we have City of Heroes, which is a surprising thing to find in the news owing to the fact that the superhero MMO officially shut down over 6 years ago. This main story comes from Bree Royce over at MassivelyOP.com, and while it is extremely lengthy, I will do my best to slim things down to the uninitiated or those that have never played City of Heroes or City of Villains, a game that I personally really enjoyed back in the day, truth be told. The City of Heroes, a game that has been defunct for over 6 years, has maintained a bit of a cult following over the years in more ways than one. Since the servers shut down, several attempts have been made to create fan versions of the game to varying degrees of success. However, it is reported that there was rumors floating around of a secret City of Heroes server running that was a full and complete version of the game and was in fact a direct and full copy of the game that was so complete it even retains everyone's characters from the original game. Massively OP showcased a now unavailable video from the YouTuber Destroyer, who also goes by Docboy, who stated he was invited to this secret server, to which he accepted, then posted a great many screenshots of the game onto Reddit. There was some concerns raised due to the fact that this was a full copy of the game that included people's accounts and characters, to which a representative of the group that calls themselves SCORE, Secret Cabal of Reverse Engineers, prepared a statement in order to allay privacy concerns. In that they said, "There is one specific rumor that needs outright debunking though. At no point did I, or anyone else I know, receive a database containing player names, emails, birth dates, payment information, or any other personally identifiable information. Not only would this have been a massive breach of privacy, but that is not information that a game server would ever need to operate, and so it would have been completely pointless to share." So what will become of the now not-so-secret City of Heroes game will remain to be seen. Regardless, it is still impressive that while there were rumors floating around, it would seem that a secret MMO server largely remained a secret for 6 years, which on the internet of today is truly a feat worthy of the title superhero. And finally, our top story for the week. Recently and tragically, the Notre Dame Cathedral in France suffered a fire that all but destroyed one of the great wonders of the world. Thankfully, at the time the fire started, the cathedral was undergoing renovations, and much of the art normally contained within the cathedral was being housed elsewhere. Sadly, some art was still lost, but better that some be saved than none at all. So thankful for small favors. However, it would seem that video games will potentially help play a role in restoring the once mighty cathedral, thanks to the efforts of Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Unity and its faithful in-game recreation of Notre Dame. During development, level artist Caroline Meus spent approximately 2 whole years modeling the Notre Dame Cathedral. In a now updated article from The Verge, it states, "In the case of the Notre Dame, easily the biggest structure in the game, it meant recreating a version of the cathedral that didn't actually exist at the time. Level artist Meus spent literally years fussing over the details of the building. She pored over photos to get the architecture just right and worked with texture artists to make sure that each brick was as it should be. She even had historians help her figure out the exact paintings that were hanging on the walls. But when testers started running around the game, something was missing. During the time the ACU is set, the Notre Dame didn't yet have its iconic spires, yet most people picture them when they think about the landmark. So Muse added them to her creation even if they technically shouldn't be there. Now, in addition to the faithful recreation of Notre Dame Cathedral in Assassin's Creed Unity, Andrew Tallon, an architectural historian at Vassar College, also had completed an extremely accurate laser scan of the cathedral that will also be used in the rebuilding efforts. To their credit, Ubisoft has donated 500,000 euro to aid in the reconstruction and restoration of the cathedral, and have also made Assassin's Creed Unity free through the Uplay store until April 25th at 3 a.m. of whatever time zone you personally happen to be living in. This news has resulted in one of the few instances of positive review bombing I've ever seen with a video game, as hundreds of people have flocked to Steam to write positive reviews in support of Ubisoft's actions. And as an added bit of information, Ubisoft has had to actually expand the server capacity for Assassin's Creed Unity as a result of the sheer number of people flocking to the game in recent days. It was also announced that if you happened to purchase the game shortly before it was made free, per PC Gamer, Ubisoft stated that they would offer a refund of any purchases of the game that were made after 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 15th. However, the link to the statement provided seems to have been deleted, but Internet Archive Wayback Machine does currently house a copy of that original statement made by Ubisoft. And that's all we have time for you on this week's Line of Sight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope we all learned something about bacon today, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Also, don't forget to share your eternal love of perfect foods and of gaming by sharing this video on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, really anywhere, and leave us a comment down below. Also, don't forget to check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/SidAlpha for commentary and opinion videos on the video game industry. All are welcome under the banner of bacon. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and I'll see you next time.